Good afternoon, good people. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing okay. Got a real good show for everybody today. It's been a little while. It's been a long time since we were able to do this. July was very busy. What up, James? What's going on, brother? Just waiting for Mr. Silvera to get on, then we're gonna go ahead and start the show. Hope everybody is doing good on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. As soon as Mr. Silvera gets on here, man, we're gonna do this here. Let me see what we got. He ain't got on yet. All right. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing, man? Jermaine, what's going on with you? Brother Hines, what's happening? Today's show is going to be about the debates. Um, 2018 versus 2013 UPS contract. We got some systemic issues that we got to talk about within this organization that we overlook. We're gonna talk about a lot of things, man. We're gonna talk about a lot of good things today. Miss Jackie, how you doing? Yeah, we're gonna be talking about a lot of different things. Some things people may get in their feelings a little bit, but that's all right. Let me see. Sending you a request now, brother Chris. There you go.
Good morning, my brother.
Good morning. How you doing?
Man, trying to do it, man. Trying to do it. Trying to live like Richard Hooker. I'm out in the street like
No.
you. I just got to
Hey,
remember to put it up on Facebook.
yeah, I saw the video that you did when you was down in DC with Reverend Barber,
Yeah,
and I mean that was so inspiring. And the question you asked, where were the Teamsters? They right down the street from there, right down the street.
yeah. There's 4 or 5 locals in Washington, D.C.
Hmm.
And if you throw Virginia and Baltimore, Maryland in there, there's probably about 8 or so local unions within striking distance of Washington, D.C.
Right.
And it's very unfortunate that I'm looking at Unite here all over the place, and I don't see any Teamsters. And this is going to be a momentous struggle because voting rights protect workers' rights.
Hmm.
And if we lose the ability, just a simple notion of the vote that took place here when Biden was running for office, and we won those 2 spots in Georgia, and we won those 2 spots in Arizona. And what we find now is that we were able to pass some legislation, the COVID relief bill that
Hmm.
extended unemployment benefits, that gave people some stimulus money and so forth like that. So we have to be very cognizant of the power to vote. It is very
Yes,
important.
very important, very important. 56 years ago last week, the Civil Rights Bill. 56 years ago. That's not a long time ago.
It
Where
is not.
people been trying to fight for the right to vote, and then now we're still fighting for the right to vote. 56 years ago, and we're still fighting to vote.
Well, one of the things that it tells us is our status. Sometimes when I write, I talk about Africans in America,
Hmm.
and because I'm not sure that we are Americans. I don't see anybody, immigrants from Poland, immigrants from Ireland, immigrants from Germany, immigrants from, other Western European countries worrying about losing the right to vote. I see it always driven at those Africans that are the descendants of free people who were captured and enslaved in this thing they now call America. But people need to be very cognizant of what's really transpiring, because the powers that be use race to divide the mindset, right? So if you look right now, they have voter suppression legislation in Wyoming, Montana, North and South Dakota, all of whom have populations of Africans that are 1% to 3 to 4%, right? So there's no way that those Africans in Montana or Wyoming or Utah or North and South Dakota can change the outcome of any election. So why are you having voter suppression legislation? Because they are targeting the working class of this country, because they want the wages to go down so that the wages look more like what they see in Vietnam and these other countries, and to drive us back into the places we were at the turn of the century. And brothers and sisters, if we don't get up and start, you can't do this on Twitter. You can't do this on Facebook. This happens in the street. You win it in the street, you're going to lose it in the street. And we need to get back in the street and stand tall. And our union needs to become very, very vocal about, what voter suppression is doing. I mean, just look at our Central States pension plan. Our pension plans that were in trouble, Central States, I know up in New England, they had a bad one. Another in New York, whatever their names are, they had one that was in deep trouble, the mine workers. Those pension plans have been rescued with money they never have to pay back, because we had the right to vote. And if African Americans did not lever that right to vote, we would not have the Butch-Lewis Act that has rescued all these Teamster pension plans and so many other at-risk pension plans of working people who work so hard.
Copy that. So before we get into some of the things I wanted to talk about, I have this question I wanted to ask my UPS members. My local is basically 99.9999% UPS workers. And 2018 and 2013 contracts were very, very, very harsh, I would say, for our members. For whatever reason, we don't talk about 2013 as much anymore because of what just happened with 2018. And it's my estimation, in my opinion, that 2013 and 2018 are the same. 2013 had a major concession. 2018 had a major concession. But we don't talk about it because of narrative and the people running for office, politics, hypocrisy. I get all that. And that's the context. My question is this to all the UPS people. Let's just say the architects from around the 2013 contract and everything that happened in the 2013 contract, team care, 4-year progression, split raises, Article 40s, situations, all that stuff, forced contracts, forced 18 supplements. Let's just say that happened in 2018. And let's say the 2018 situation with the 22-4s, let's say that happens in 2013. What does this election look like if they flip-flop? What does it look like? Because it's the same thing to me. It's the same exact. You can talk about 2013 and 2018 in the same breath because it's the same thing happened. My question to UPS workers is, what would this election look like? Because, Brother Chris, UPS workers, man, they are used as pawns in every election. Every election, man, we are used as pawns. But my question is to the UPS worker, let's flip-flop those years with the architects behind all of it. What does this election look like now? Are we still praising O'Brien? Are we still bashing the Verma? Are we flip-flopping it? What are we doing? Because it's the same exact thing. But we glaze over 2013. We glaze over, like we forgot about it. No, people still losing money because of this progression. Why should I have to wait 2 extra years for top rate when the company is making billions of dollars? Why? But we forget that because of the narrative and all these things that change now because people are supposed to be reformed and renewed now. But we forget our members are still suffering from that 2013 situation. And then it just progressed into this 2018. But there was a year in there that could have all had changed, but we'll talk about that later. 2016, but we'll talk about that later. So, Brother Chris, we're going to jump right into it. The debates are happening. Debates. September the 1st, the Women's Conference, and then later on in September. Now, after months and months of pushing to get a debate, sent out letters, and we all know what happened with that, and, you know, a whole lot of stuff was said, this was said, that was said. Well, now it's getting ready to happen. September the 1st is the first debate. And I think this is good. It's supposed to be 3 debates. I think this is going to be good for the undecided voter. I think wherever you are at right now, I don't think you're going to change your mind because the ballots come out less than 2 months. But I think for the undecided voter, I think these debates really going to swing the tide for one of the other slates. What should we expect from these debates? What are we looking for? What are we looking at?
Well, let me just start by saying this. These debates are being run under the auspices of the government. And when a African born in America Teamster leader offered a debate in Philadelphia, there are some who chose to ignore. So see, people got to look at what's going on here. This is an African American leader who sends out a letter that says, hey, listen, come to Philadelphia on July the 4th and let's have a debate, a Teamster debate, ran by Teamsters, owned by Teamsters, questions from Teamsters. Some didn't want to show up to that debate, but they willingly go to the government debate. So that tells you that there's some people here who prefer to be under the auspices of the government. This union has been under the thumb of the government, central states, all the way up to the consent decree. And now they have this here cockamamie IRO, ILO, I don't know what the hell it is. However, there are those who like to have that thing going on and refuse to have the type of leadership that says a clean union is run by an involved membership. A clean union is run by people who are dedicated to a cause. Now, what's going to happen at this debate? This debate is going to be something to watch. Some people are going to go and enjoy the hype. Some people are going to be more contemplative. And I think that those two camps, just like regular politics, they're Democrats, they're Republicans, and they ain't swinging. And it's this independent voter who still searches to find the right answer that's going to make the difference. Let me just point on one thing. African American rank and file members need to make their voices heard at the ballot box. But I'm going to go one step further. I don't care what slate you're on. Ain't nobody done nothing for local 808 in any of these elections in all these years. I think this is a crucial point. I think 91 was a crucial point. I think this is another crucial point. If you support African Americans on the Oz slate as a Black Teamster, you should ensure that those slate members have the requisite money to put up to be a part of the slate and not be needed money from their white counterparts. If you're on the Verma Herrera's slate, you should be doing the same thing for those Blacks on that slate, because we always have problem raising money, and this goes back to 1991 till today. You have to become a voice for your beliefs, whatever they are. So, whatever your choices are, that God bless America on that note, or maybe I should say God bless the Teamsters and the government, I'm not sure. But you need to make sure that those Africans in America who are on those slates have your money in their pocket. And then in the workplace, you have to translate that into returning ballots to the ballot box to ensure that you are satisfied with the outcome of your participation.
I agree. One of the things I'm looking forward to this debate, you hear a lot of stuff on social media, and this person did this and that person did that. Well, at these debates, and you're not going to be able to hide anymore. You're not going to be able to hide behind the keyboards and say this, and everybody's saying all this kind of stuff. The supporters of each camp, they're not going to be able to say too much. This is going to be mano y mano, so to speak. I know it's going to be a lot of kneecapping. There's going to be a lot of shade being thrown, a lot of smoke going to be given up. But after all that is said and done, the members need to have a clear-cut view of the vision that each person running will be able to put out there for each individual member to vote on. And I think that's what we need to focus on. That's why I let off this conversation with 2018 and 2013, because a lot of these candidates they've done some very, very horrible things to this union.
You're right.
And being a UPS member for all these years, we suffered in the 2018 contract and 2013 contract. It's problems all over, and there's a lot of architects behind both, right? So I don't view 2018 any less than I do 2013, or 2013 any less than 2018. And that's why I'm solid in my point of, dude, we need to make sure our members understand this is important. I can point at you about what you did with the 22 fours, but I also can point at you what you did with the team care and the 4-year progression and the 418 supplements and the bullying and all that. So we can go both ways all day with that. What we have to focus on is what we're going to do in the future. What does it look like for our future members? When I first started about 22 years ago, our members, the members back then are a lot different than they are now. They're younger. The generation has changed. The culture has changed. And the Teamsters, we may not want to, but we're going to have to change with it. We're going to have to change with it.
Absolutely.
The conversations that we have with our members now, those same conversations you couldn't have 20 years ago. 2 different time periods. The members are a lot different. Technology has changed. Social media has really opened the floodgates to a lot of things. There was no social media 20 years ago like it is now. There was no Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all this other kind of stuff, and and our members are looking. They are crying out for, hey, I need some information. Yeah, I know this guy did this. I know this guy did that. But what are we going to do now? How can we move forward? And that's
right.
And that's what we got to do. That's why these debates are so important.
So one of the things, and you're going to see this in the debate, is that the debate is going to be heavily focused on the master agreements, freight, UPS, or let me rephrase that, UPS, freight, power.
Right.
So while you talk about what's happening to UPS workers, there's a devastation that's taking place on the railroads, right? So currently, I don't want to speak to all railroads, but I know like on Long Island and a portion of Metro North, they now have a 8-year wage progression, right?
Oh, 8
yeah. We had to fight with a few unions to keep it at a 5-year wage progression. Now, local 808 in the last election probably had 6%, 8% of its members vote, right? We're going to change that this year. And like I said, I had no horse in the race. I didn't really think either party made any difference to the labor movement. So it meant nothing to me. This one means something to me because I think that we are at that inflection point, not just within the union, but also within the country. So is this union going to lead the revolution necessarily to put fascism back into the closet, back into the box, and support this bourgeois democracy that we have been having? Hopefully we can change that too, but It is what it is, right? But are we going to push this idea of insurrections and what have you? Are we going to choose the ballot over the bullet, right? Because that's really where we are at this point. If you look at what January 6th meant, those people chose the bullet, right? So the labor movement, the union, has to start to become real leaders in going forward as to how we go. These are working class people. They working class people who are suffering. You hear, oh, they're making $70,000 a year. Let me tell you something. They should be making $140,000 a year, because our wages are 45–50% behind where they ought to be. So labor needs to get into a real aggressive push forward. So when you talk about what's happening in UPS, I'm hoping to see some of this spill over to talk about what's happening on the railroads.
I agree.
And what's happening in some of these larger white paper contracts that nobody seems to generate. Well, I've heard some interest. I don't want to get political, but I've heard some interest from some people. But we need to, because UPS cannot go forward without the rest of the union coming with it. And the union can't go forward if we don't increase our mass within the working class. So we have to, so when you go out into a shop as a Teamster, you need to carry good news. We all got bad news. I got bad news about the dog downstairs. I got bad news about my kids. I got bad news about a lot of things, right? But when we go out, because each of us have to become an organizer if we're going to change the future. Because you got FedEx, humongous, non-union. You got Walmart, non-union. You got Amazon, non-union. Our labor movement is broken.
Yeah, absolutely.
Broken, right? So there's a lot of work that's not going to take, oh, vote for this guy, vote for that guy. Let me tell you something. You can vote for them if you want to, and you should. But if you, the individual rank and file member, don't start going to meetings, don't start getting involved, don't start bringing issues to that meeting, don't start walking the streets, don't start doing the picket line. If you're going to sit back and tweet and carry on and malign people without knowledge of the future or without knowledge of what's really going on just because you heard one thing, you're going to become a problem. We need real membership involvement in this union, and we needed it 6 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? We cry. My members is crying every day. I hate to tell you what some of them are making. They're crying every day, and they have a right to cry. Don't get me wrong. However, what are you doing to be involved, right? August 28th, there's going to be a march in Washington, D.C. around the issue of voter suppression, around the issue of the PRO Act, around minimum wage. How many of us are going to be there? How many of us are going to participate in this march, right? Where is the Teamsters on the front line of the Poor People's Campaign? We should be on the front line of the Poor People's Campaign, particularly because we are one of the better compensated industrial unions in the country.
Right, and the majority of our members live in these areas, quote unquote, that are poor.
That's right.
That are, and if you look at our, our demographics of our Teamsters Union, what, 70% of us are minority, Black and brown people live in these communities that are downtrodden and poor, and all these things. And you're right, we should be on the front lines. We have to be. We have to be. If not, we should be. We have to be on the front lines.
We're victims of redlining. We're the victims of food deserts. We're the victim of inferior health care, access to health care, access to a good schooling. The union has to get up and start to address those things that affect a significant and loyal part of their union. And failure to do this continues the disconnect between the leadership and its rank and file. And I just wanted to say one thing, because when I talk about the Teamsters, I really want people to understand I ain't talking about Hoffa or Verma or O'Brien or Zuckerman. I'm talking about 1.3, 1.4 million rank and file members. That's the Teamsters.
Right.
When you get up everybody going to wake up, because
That's
just
right.
1.4 million people rolling out of bed at the same time is a lot of noise.
That's right.
Pots are clanging, toilets are flushing, water's running. We got to wash our face,
Right.
brush our teeth.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So
Right.
1.3, 1.4 million people need to start to get up. Don't tell me. I don't want to hear about Verma. I don't want to hear about O'Brien and Zuckerman and Herrera. They're a part of the apparatus, don't get me wrong, as elected leadership. But we, as rank and file members, are failing ourselves.
Right. That's where the power is at. The power is with the members.
Power. That's right.
And
That's right.
and I think we have forgotten that. I think we're top heavy, and you can definitely see it now with the way this election, the campaign is going, is top heavy, top. And what I found out is that, you know, a lot of these the campaigns that you hear is that they want to pick their voters instead of the voters picking the leaders. Yeah. And then if you don't agree with that, then you become the enemy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, how are we the enemy when we have a right, we have a voice, we can use it in any which way we please. But I'm hoping that the members understand that they have the power. It's their union. They have to take ownership of it. And for so long, especially since I've been a Teamster, it's been, you know, when you say the union, the first thing that comes to your mind is the leadership, it's the people in office. But they're not where the power resides. The power resides in the people. If the people put their hand in their pocket, nobody gets paid. The CEOs, these companies, they don't make the billions. Officers like myself and others, we don't get paid if the people put their hand in their pocket, because that's where the power is at. But they don't. They're not engaged in that. You know, if you don't vote for me, if you don't do this for me, then this, that, and the other is going to happen. Instead of the member demanding, we're asking. No, we got to start demanding.
That's right.
We have
a demand. That's right.
Right.
That's right. But see, one of the things that happened, if you just go backwards, there was a time in the union where the agent had to come around and collect the dues, right? And then one day, people sometimes think this is the union's doing, but sometimes this is the boss is doing, because the boss has think tanks and they see way down the turnpike. And then they come up with a thing called dues deduction. So now you don't got to go around and collect dues anymore. The dues just come flowing in. So it builds separation. That's why every time I see you post up, I was in this shop, I was in that shop, I was in that shop. That is important, because that face-to-face, and let me tell you something, I do it, my members whoop my behind damn near every morning. But it's good, because they need to have it, and I need to hear it. Because when I stop hearing it, then I become like Tsar Nicholas or whoever it was over there, where they set up a facade, everything seems hunky-dory, and one day the whole thing comes crashing down around. I'm one of them czars over there, right? But we need to be in a place of revolution-mindedness. We need to be in a place of how, and this is what people, what I want to see in the debate. How are we going to, and what are our plans to connect with the rank and file members? How are we going to improve this communication from the top to the bottom and from the bottom to the top, right? Those are the things that I tell you, that, you know, maybe 35,000 people in the track department or more, 45,000, 30,000 locomotive engineers in the Teamsters or whatever those numbers are. I never really checked them too heavily, but they're in those types of numbers. They are getting beat up by these freight railroads that are making multi-billions of dollars of profit as they continue to extract out of the workers' pocket longer time to reach the 100% mark and pay, co-paying into your medical plan. All of that is profit. That's what people don't realize, because you're doing 100% of the work. But, you know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks into the job, if you ain't got it, you fired. You know what I'm saying? So I know UPS ain't keeping you around 3 months and you ain't doing it right? You done, right? And these railroads are the same way. So now you have somebody that's giving you 100% of labor, or the productivity of labor, right? And at the same time getting 70, 80, 90% of the wage of the value
Mm-hmm.
of that labor. So these are some of the things that we're going to have to start to rectify. And I want to hear that conversation. You know, UPS has its issues, but the railroads probably have bigger issues
Yeah,
than they do.
I'm with you on that too. And listen, this is coming from someone whose local is 99.9% UPS. I want to hear, and we want to hear, you know, because we're UPS is not the Teamsters. We you know, after you count the UPS workers, you still got about 1.1 million Teamsters, and
Yep,
they need to have their concerns met and questions answered as well. You know,
yep, yep.
we have to, and I want to hear that at that debate. I want to hear what the plans is for the white paper, brothers and sisters over there. You know, not just UPS. Again, I mean, UPS is used as pawns every single contract, and I mean, when I was a shop steward in the building working, I didn't quite understand that, but now sitting on this side of the river, man, I see it, man, and it's ugly because you see the politics and hypocrisy of it all. Like, hold on a minute, man, but you just said, and you just did. Hold on, what? What happened to where you were just did? And I'm like, wow, man, that's how it is now. I thought we were in this for the people, but it's not. It's not. It's
Well, you see,
about keep. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
so, excuse me, but being in it for the people is slogan, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there are
right there you
things you
go.
have to say, right? I always tell people,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to be the head of the Palestinians, you got to say F a Jew. If you want to be the head of the Israel, you got to have a speech where you say F a Palestinian. So these are slogans. If you ever notice, when you hear about transparency, the room gets darker. Seem like there's more fog in the room than before the word transparency showed up, right? So these are just slogans and words that people use to keep tricking the working class and not allowing them to read. But our own members, we don't read,
Mm-hmm.
right? We spend our time playing video games. We spend our time going out taking pictures of meals we eaten. Like somebody needs to see this ham sandwich I'm eating. You understand what I'm saying? We are not, you can't, you know, you take them from the sports page, once the sport, they know more about the Knicks, the Yankees, the Phillies, the Eagles, than they know about their contract.
Man,
As if
say
to
that
say,
again.
as if to
Man.
say that knowledge is going to revert into their pocket, right? I don't care, you know, oh, LGBT, but I said, listen, man, freedom to all people, because if you oppress them, you're oppressing me one day. You understand what I'm saying? Freedom requires that I want everyone to be free, because
That's right.
two women get married ain't making me richer, ain't taking no money out of my pocket, ain't making my taxes go up or down. However, when Jeff Bezos can spend that kind of money for a 10-minute joyride, you understand the point I'm saying? While his members are struggling,
Struggling.
there's something
Struggling.
wrong with that picture. There's something wrong with a society. Take government out of it now, because this is we the people, right? Our society has become a society that love Kardashian, Kanye, Jay-Z, and all these billionaire class people while they getting robbed every day in their workplace. And until they start to read in a different way, when they start to get off of that sports page and get into the business page, start reading The Economist, start reading, because even though you read The Economist, which is a capitalist magazine, you start to see what the capitalist is thinking about. You understand what I'm saying? Start to read some left-leaning newspapers just for context, just to hear the other side, just to hear Fox, MSNBC, CNN, they're all a part of the same club. They're all a part of the same club. Media today in the United States is owned by 5 corporations, if it's that many at this point. Okay? So New York City used to have 6 or 7 daily newspapers in the 60s. They down to 2 or 3, right? Times, Daily News, and the Post. Those are the big 3 right here, right? So we went from 6 to 3. There's a time when you couldn't own a newspaper and own a radio or television station in the same market, right? There was a time when that was known as the fairness doctrine, that if you had a conservative on, then you needed to have somebody from a less conservative point of view to debate and to have that equal time. So if you gave a left-wing guy 5 minutes, you had to give a right-wing guy 5 minutes. Now everybody has been going off into these little silos and don't hear nothing else. You know, so there's a lot of work to be done. And I'm going to tell you that NAACP can be helpful, CORE can be helpful, all the church can be helpful, but the military wing of the working class, that being organized labor, must take the lead. And I'm going to go even one step further and say that Black trade unionists need to be on the front line of this battle, because we, more than anyone else, knows what this system does. And we see it with we don't have no rose-colored glasses, because we don't see hell in America from day one until now.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we have, when it comes to race and social issues, even within the Teamsters organization, it's a systemic problem. And I didn't really I didn't want to see it again until we got on this side of the river. And I hate to say this, but you've been a principal officer for over 30 years. I haven't been one 2 years yet. And, you know, I think out of about 400 and some locals, there's only 22 principal officers of color.
That's
you
right.
know, that tells you a story right there. You know, and you know, what I'm starting to see is that there is a difference between a African American or a person of color who's a principal officer and a principal officer who is white. They're not equal. They're both principal officers, but they are not equal. Some things, you know, you and I just can't do. You know,
That's right.
That's right. We just can't do those things. You know, it's not fair. I had a conversation during the convention, and I got a call from a member, from another local, and we were talking about the amendment that we try to get through down there. And the conversation went something like this: "Hey, Hooker, listen, man, that amendment is bad, man. You're talking about cutting off the head of one of the slates." I said, "Hey, man, listen, this is not just about Sean O'Brien. This is about all of us, Sean O'Brien and Roma Lois. And Roma Lois, he's still getting in trouble. You know, he's still getting his hand caught in a cookie jar with that thing I just saw a couple of days ago. But these guys have a privilege that you and I and people of color in that position just don't have. No, it's not nothing against them. It's just a systemic problem that we have.
The system. That's right.
You're right. And so me and this member, we're talking about it, and he's giving me their viewpoint, and I'm giving them and saying, man, listen, this is not about O'Brien or a lawyer. This is about Hooker. This is about everybody. Let's say I get beside myself one day, and I want to start taking money, and I want to start bullying people. That kicks me out too. That's about me too. So then we start talking again. We continue to talk, and I said, what if Sean O'Brien was black? What if he was black and there was a pause? It was silence on the phone. You say, hey, man, listen, I know it's not fair. I understand your point, but we cannot fix that right now. So I said, well, when we going to fix it?
That's right.
And that's my question to you, Chris, because you've been doing this a lot longer. We have an opportunity to fix it right now. Right now, we have an opportunity to fix it. So when are we going to fix it? This is bigger than UPS, bigger than Amazon, bigger than all that. When are we going to fix these problems that we have? Because if we don't fix it now, when are we going to fix it?
Right. So to some extent, I understand a part of the argument that some people are talking about. Truth be told, the government has no interest in fixing it. I'm going to back up a little bit and give you a little story.
Okay.
Richard Trumka was caught up in some money movement to support the re-election of Ron Kerry, right? And had to plead the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination, right? Which, according, if it's still the same, which I don't know that it has changed, if you take and hide behind the Fifth Amendment, you cannot be the head of the AFL-CIO. Okay? Yet and still, he was allowed to be the head of the AFL-CIO, which means that from the moment you sat down, see, the government like these compromise guys. You know, if you know anything about the streets, you know they catch drug dealers and let them go every day. Yo, listen, tell me who's on top of you. They catch him, tell me who's on top of you. You understand what I'm saying? Because they're trying to get to a certain point. So when you see a guy get caught in certain charges that would take the average person down and they survive it, then you have to start to ponder, how free are you of the government's ability to make you take a less than militant stance in the struggle of the working class to improve itself? You understand the point I'm saying? Now, I ain't gonna tell you Trump ain't a nice guy. I've marched with Trump. Nice enough fella, don't get me wrong. I mean, I actually had a case before, an Article 20 case before the AFL-CIO, and Trump sat on that. And, you know, Trump and Jimmy Hoffa weren't exactly eye to eye, buddy because of the Ron Kerry situation. And we still prevail, you know, and I just want to hats off to Neil Dichak, which is certainly one of the bright attorneys down at the IBT, because Neil Dichak represented Local 808 and brought us home to that point, along with God, because the people that were the jurors all ruled in the favor of Local 808, and all of them were anti-Hoffa people. So I have to say that Neil did his job on this earthly part, and God did his job on their heart to make them choose justice over injustice.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, so we have to understand these things. So the government has an interest in having people sit in that seat, you know, that are going to take certain positions that are not going to be as militant, because they're already compromised. I know things about you. I know who your friends are. I know where you're hanging. I know who you clowning with. You understand what I'm saying? So as soon as you jump up to do something militant, a guy whispers in your ear, and then you have to sit down and take a lesser position. And the labor movement needs its most aggressive leadership at this point, because if you see what's happening with this billionaire class, if you see what's happening since, you know, you didn't used to have to pay taxes on your Social Security when you retired until Ronald Reagan cut taxes on the wealthiest people in the country and instituted a federal tax on Social Security. People forget these things because we're rolling on. You know, we got more channels to watch. We got Kardashian to watch, Real Lives of Housewives, and all this kind of foolishness. And in the meantime, they pick in our pocket each and every day, and we out to lunch. You know, so the membership got to start to ask questions about, do you want the type of person? I've been in office for 30 odd years. I have never threatened one of my members. I had one that was a thorn in my side, used to run against me every 3 years. Matter of fact, when he actually retired, we gave him a jacket. And he said, "Why are you giving this jacket?" I said, "Because at least you took it out of the locker room and brought it into the forum where change is made." And then, even though I didn't like it for it, but it worked out. You know, so we have to still respect, even though sometimes we don't like it, what democracy empowers a member to do. And empowers that you're not crowned no king. You don't have no right to be here forever. You have a right to a 3-year term. And at the end of that 3-year term, you will be assessed by the membership. And if they choose to give you another 3, so be it. If they choose to take you out, so be it. And you go back to being a strong and positive rank and file member.
Right, absolutely. So get back to my question. When are we going to change this systemic problem that we have? You know, when are we going to change it? If not now, when?
But
you know,
it has to start at the ballot box. Yeah, it has to start. Well, you know, the first opportunity to begin that turning of the wheel, if you will, is this upcoming election, right? So you have one slate that I think very much represents what this membership looks like versus another slate. People need to look at that. Does that mean that all of a sudden things are going to be hunky-dory? No, it don't. Because if you just vote them in and then go back to sleep, it ain't gonna change. So not only do you have to institute the type of leadership that is going to have an open ear to what you have to say, you also have to continue to beat that drum each and every day to remind them of what they said they came to do and what you demand that they do, because it's your money. Let me tell you something. This money we spending on, we have spent, I think, probably, certainly well over $1 billion plus, many billions of dollars on this IRB. And the IRB was supposed to get rid of certain people, but you cannot threaten your members. You don't have that right. You don't have that. Listen, you might not reward me with anything, but you don't get the right to threaten me. So because I'm not down with you, maybe I'm not going to get one of these second checks or third checks or whatever the hell is going on. However, I understand that comes with taking a stand. However, you don't get the right to threaten me because I chose to stand on 3rd Avenue and not on 5th Avenue. You understand the point I'm saying?
Yeah.
But our membership has to start to go back to meetings. They have to start to get involved. All this thing about, oh, the Union Hall is so far away and all this old foolishness. Listen, most locals have 9 meetings a year. They shut down for the summer. So it's 9 meetings. Every member should make 1 or 2 meetings. Every member should make. You want me to come and visit you in the barn, and you ain't coming to visit me in my barn? Come on now.
Right.
It's a reciprocal deal. I come and visit you, you come and visit me. You know, I don't expect you to come every meeting. I wish you did, but I don't expect it. However, if each and every member came to 2 meetings a year, we would have good meetings. We would have meetings that really brought the points of the rank and file forward, and it would hold the feet of leadership to the fire every day. And that's what we need to have if we're going to make change.
I agree. That's why we got to keep pushing voter participation and voter engagement. Our members got to be engaged, because if not, it's going to be the same old. Yeah. It's ugly. It's ugly right now. I mean, you know, over the last about decade, I mean, you've seen a decline in. I think since the '90s, late '90s, you've seen a decline in voter participation from Teamsters when it comes to voting. And I think that is because, you know, they just don't feel, the members don't feel as though they are important enough. You know what I mean? I think, you know, the leaders do what they want to do. They say what they need to say to keep them in office. But when it comes time to do the work, you know, the members don't hold them accountable. And the leaders know that. They know that. I mean, that's why, you know, some of these guys can get away with some of the things they're getting away with, because they know they're not going to be checked on it. And when you do try to check them, again, you become the enemy. All you want is a fair and clean union. That's all we want. We don't want a union where there's so much corruption and force. I mean, you see what's going on.
Well, the government is corrupt, right? So you asking dirty hands to clean up a dirty kitchen. That's impossible. A dirty mop can't clean a dirty kitchen, right?
No.
So the government is corrupt. If you think about it, right? All these IRB guys, Carberry and all of them, they're all vested, if not now collecting money out of the Teamsters family plan. You the prosecutor. When was the last time that the prosecutor was getting money from the Gambino crime family? When was the last time the prosecutor was getting money from the Genovese crime family? You understand what I'm saying? How did you, the prosecutor, get into the pension plan? See? So now you don't want to leave. You don't want to leave. See? So you actually want these types of characters around, because that's how you justify why you are still here. You understand? So, oh, well, you know, those guys were threatening people, so we got to stay here and keep watching them. Well, if you had kicked them out, you could have left with them, because you got rid of the problem, right? So we have a corrupt government, right, trying to clean up I'm going to back up for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at the amount of money and time spent, our union is certainly way less corrupt than the Trump administration, certainly way less corrupt than many of the churches, certainly way less corrupt than corporate America and their lobbyists. So if you look at how many people were charged, thrown out, caught up with different things and whatnot, those numbers pale compared to the general thing. So I want to dispel this idea that the Teamsters are corrupt. They are individuals within this union who continue to live a lifestyle that don't make sense. And there are people here who, for whatever reason, whether they're scared or whatever, go along. And you could go to Chicago and take some look-arounds in Chicago. You could go to Detroit and take some look-arounds in Detroit. You could go out to the West Coast and take some look-arounds out there. We have, but if our rank and file members started to do their homework, started to come to meetings, started to get involved, a lot of these local leaders who are participating in this behavior could not survive. Because a lot of them is not producing no good outcome for their rank and file.
Right. I got to ask you this question. You talked about something about fear, right? And you've been around a long, long time. I'm just really getting started. And I got to ask you this. So I wrote a check to the IBT for per capita taxes over $60,000 last week. I wrote another check to the Joint Council for about $2,800. I wrote another check to the PA Conference of Teams for about $3,500. Right? Why are we afraid of these people when we send them all this money? I can't understand that. Where did the fear come in? I just never could understand. Why am I afraid of somebody? And I'm sitting here, no. You work for me. You don't put no fear in my heart. Who are you?
Right.
Like, that's why when people say, man, we got to ask them to put us on the slate and asking after all the stuff they done did, man, we should be demanding. There's no asking when I'm sending you all this kind of money. I don't get that.
Right, we have a right to some. And one of the things you could watch is how they deal with drive money, right? So here's how the fear comes into being. One, you can get ostracized by people around you because Joint Council leader doesn't like you, so therefore, because we are looking for something from the Joint Council leader, we don't like you. You know what I'm saying? Jimmy Hoffa don't like you, and we looking for something from Jimmy Hoffa, so we don't like you. And then you have another component in which there are external forces that act on people. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to call them organized crime, but they could be known as organized crime. And those forces have not departed, right? Because if you go into any neighborhood that's been racked with drug dealing and drug trading, as many people as they have locked up, they have been replaced by another, right? So it continues. So the same thing happens here. They just take on different shapes, different forms, and so forth. But you are not going to leave the kind of money on the table that exists in certain aspects of the people we represent, okay? I want to go down. People who are in those areas of work understand what I'm talking about. So there's different ways to be afraid. See, I've never been afraid because I never even thought about being the head of local 808. Never even crossed my mind. And when I became the head of local 808, I never thought about being on the Joint Council. I went out every day and did good work. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm like an athlete, right? The only thing you could do is train, prepare yourself, and so forth, and then hopefully somebody see and recognize what you believe to be your talent, and then bring you up. What I do know is, what I've witnessed is that over the years, as much as they don't want me in that inner circle because I ask too many questions and probably have too many opinions, is when there's actions to be taken, I'm the first person they call. Hey, Chris, can you get some guys over here at this thing? Hey, Chris, can you get some guys over there at that thing? And so we have always been an activist local. I will admit that we have fallen off over the years. Things kind of went into a kind of a lull state. A lot of times we believe that because the business agent and so forth went over to the rally or to the demo that the members were there. No, we need to have the rank and file showing up on these picket lines. We need to have the rank and file showing up at these rallies and so forth. That's what we need to do. So on the 28th of August, Local 808 is chartering a bus to take its members down to Washington, D.C. to participate in that event. And the only reason we didn't have one for Monday was because it kind of snuck up on me, because I was actually planning to go down to Austin, Texas, to be a part of that march from Georgetown to Austin. And then I found out about D.C. and I go, well, I had some other things I could do, and I'll go to D.C., which we did. And, so we're just encouraging people, because on the 28th, there are going to be marches that take place in Atlanta. There are going to be marches that take place in a few different cities. I don't want to mention them all. Atlanta, I remember that. But there are about 4 or 5 cities that there are going to be marches in on that day. And Teamster members, Teamster locals need to be a part of it, because voting rights protect workers' rights. And you ain't going to have no workers' rights if you lose voting rights.
Absolutely. I mean, they're all tied into the same. And, I used to hear that growing up a lot, especially when I first became a Teamster, about how workers' rights and civil rights are the same. And now you actually see, I mean, listen, look at what happened in Georgia, as you talked about earlier in the show. And man, if the people don't come out and vote, man, those pension funds are still in bad shape right now.
That's right.
And voting is the key to everything, and I'm hoping that our members understand that in this election. It's the key. It's their union. We need to take it back from the powers that be. They done had it far too long.
That's
far
right.
too long. And I'm hoping that we have that transformational change, not just reform. I hear people talk about reform.
We need revolution.
Reform is not what we need. I don't. We need something greater, like you said, revolution, transformational. We don't. Reform is not enough. I mean, the way our future is looking for us, the working class, our members are younger. They're exposed to a lot of different things. Not like it was when I first became a Teamster. And we got to be ready for that change. And I don't think what we have in place now will be able to do that with what we got right now. I can't see that happening.
I just want to remind people that the people that are in leadership on these slates none of them are outsiders. Quite a few of them are members of the General Executive Board as we speak. There are some of them that got on the General Executive Board 5 years ago when Zuckerman lost, and some of the guys in the Central region in the South, those guys won, so they might not be a part of the apparatus, if you will, because they were outsiders then. But O'Brien, Zuckerman was a director of Car Hall and what have you like that. Verma's a vice president. Ron Herrera is a vice president. Some of them are working for the International, getting stipends and stuff from the International. So do not believe that there are no outsiders in this election. This is Hoffa's team has split up, right? Some went this way and some went that way. And now they're going to compete for who is going to lead this. So don't get conned into this thing. Oh, I'm an outsider. Oh, them is the insiders and we the outsiders. They're all insiders. When you become heads of joint councils, you are an insider. When you become international VPs, you're an insider. When you become directors of divisions, you're an insider. So do not be confused, rank and file members, about insiders and outsiders. One of them, this marriage, I tell you, not to malign one over the other, but when O'Brien can get married to Zuckerman, it's like Bernice King getting married to David Duke. This don't make no sense at all. I ain't saying it can't happen, but I'm saying it don't make no sense at all. And so our members need to start to ask real questions and not get caught up in the Facebook claptrap. And to come back to the debate, I think the debates are something that people need to focus on.
Yeah,
Take
absolutely.
down notes.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So when this debate is going on, don't just watch it. Take
Take the notes
notes.
down.
Right.
Yeah.
If you can record it so you can back up and remember what was said and so forth like that. Because we as leaders of local unions are privy to information that our rank and file members are not. Right. So these debates are going to, that was what you wanted to do, Richard. And I ain't going to forget who showed up in Philadelphia and who didn't, because it is a sign of respect to Black leadership in this union. That's my point. Don't tell me about the goddamn corrupt government you're running down there too.
Yep. So, like I was saying earlier, I didn't know that the disparity between the race situation in in the Teamsters Union, like we talked about earlier. There's a difference between a Black principal officer and a white principal officer. It just is. We're not equal. Certain things that they can do, some things you and I, we better not do. We better not do, because we don't have that privilege. We just don't. Speaking of what you just said in the debates, so if you remember, sent the letters out, had impartial moderators, and we're just going to do it the right way. But if you remember, during the convention, they had a debate over in Atlantic City, and that debate, man, wasn't nobody worried about, the OES, man, just come on out and debate. But when I said it, it was a problem. Speaking to your point,
right?
But when the other folks said it, oh man, it's okay. And then there was this picture that was put out there. There was this picture out there, and I gotta laugh and when it was sent to me, I started laughing. But then I started getting phone calls about it, and people were really breaking it down to me about what it really meant. And I try to stay away from the race thing. I really, really do, because when a Black person, especially in this union, when you start talking about race, oh man, you're using the race card, you're using it as a crutch, and blah, 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 blah. So I try to stay away from it. But for the last about 2 months, man, it's like maybe there is something to this. And I still try to avoid it, but I can't. So there was this picture that was sent to me. It was me and Marcus King. Dumb and Dumber, right? That's what it said on there. Mm-hmm. And our faces on the bodies. And then somebody called me and said, Hooker, you laughing, but you need to take this serious. I mean, what you talking about? He said, how many Black men POs are in Pennsylvania? I said, I believe there's only 2. You don't see a problem with that? They got Dumb and Dumber to the only Black men principal officers in Pennsylvania. I said, come on, man. I don't really want to go down this road. I see where you're going. They said, Hooker, man, you laughing at this, dude. This is serious. You do not get the same respect. We will not get the same respect as our white counterparts. Nothing against them. It's a systemic problem. And I didn't see it until I saw that picture, and they was breaking it down to me. You're the only 2 in the whole entire state. Hooker, you're not even running for office. Why are you even on the picture?
That's right. Well, see, that's and again, this is a societal thing. Trump does the same thing, and one side of this group has very Trumpian tendencies and Trumpian behavior. Okay, so that is why, because in 2021, you should have recognized what imagery you were sending out and what that meant. And I have tried my best to do similar to you, even as chairman of the Black Caucus. I have tried to mitigate or minimize the rush to say it was race, and tried to see something else. But more and more and increasingly, you find out, because you watch what's happening, the treatment that through the IRB, IRO, whatever that is, through appointments to various positions and so forth and whatnot, you start to realize that they do not appreciate the role of Africans in America's leadership in this union, right? And so instead of trying to embrace what you're doing, right, and this is why I said when you sent out that letter, that should be a immediate yes, no problem. Let me tell you something. I was a part of a thing called the Million Worker March, and in fact, I posted up yesterday
The letters.
Hoffa's letter,
Yep.
thanking them for putting him into a situation where he's some kind of honorary Black Panther or something like that. Now I'm not too sure, but it gives him a little bit of a militant thing, and I'm thankful because you know, Jimmy did give us money on two occasions, both in 2004 when we did Million Worker March, and in 2005 when we did Millions More. So, you know, I talk about the importance of having leadership where we as Black leaders, and, you know, Jimmy and I were never on meaningfully good terms. You know, I mean, we cordial to each other, but, you know, I don't think he had any great love affair for me, and I certainly had minimal love for him. And only because, you know, when I look around, you know, because you talk about, you know, how long I've been in this position, and if you ever look at my record, you know, it would lead someone to ask the question, man, nobody ever put this guy on to nothing at all? You know what I'm saying? You know, because the record is, you know, I mean, I'm not bragging. The record is the record. You know, I've done some dopey things. Don't get me wrong, but I think,
Right.
but I think that the good things that I've done far outweighs the dopey things that I've done. We have in one of our shops, we got May 1st, International Workers' Day, as an additional holiday. We didn't have to switch. On the railroad, we brought them sick days and improved vacation and personal days, and their wages are through the roof. Today, we actually feel like UPS guys, and you know, and so when you look at those things that are, you know, where we brought our pension from to where it is now, and then, you know, you kind of wonder, say, wow, you know, nobody ever really thought that, but we, because of coming from an African past, they do not feel it necessary to put us into any position because we're going to ask too many questions, because we're going to really want transparency. We coming in with flashlights and,
well,
you know,
we have to be transparent because we're not going to be able to get away with anything.
That's right.
So we have to. Listen. Me and Bagby, who's the president of our local, we were in this meeting, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, and it was me and him, a couple other people. We was talking, having some shop talk in his office, and, you know, a couple of our guys doing some changes, and so I told them how to get those changes way long ago. They didn't do it, but they still, you know, want to talk about it. And so they asked me, we're a hooker, you know, but we still needed to get done. But you can do this. I said, hold on, man. I can't do what you're asking me to do. I said, me and Bagby, we cannot make any mistakes. We have to be perfect. And we're not perfect people. We're going to make mistakes. So we're just not going to go willy-nilly, because we know if we do, we're not going to get a chance like what's the man name? Aloysius or the O'Briens. Or
that's right.
We're not going to get those. We're
not
going to get no breaks. And I know that, and I see it. And, you know, for a long, long time, man, I didn't want to talk about it because I'm still transitioning to this role of principal officer. I've been a rank and file member for 21 years. That's all I know. And so to transform into this, or to transition into this role has been a struggle for me, because I got a lot of questions. I got a lot of concerns. You're asking me to vote for people for the last 20 some odd years I've been fighting against because of all the things they've been doing. And now you're telling me now, oh, I got to flip the switch. I can't do that because we're still losing money. People are still not being whole. Their concerns are not being addressed. Their questions are not being answered. I just can't go along with the get along, because I wouldn't have did that when I was a rank and file, and I know I'm not going to do that as a principal officer.
That's right. That's right.
I'm just not going to do that. So when I ask these questions, I have these concerns. It's not me, you know, being some, oh, I just want to stir up trouble. I want to be a rebel rouser. No, man, I know I cannot make these mistakes. I don't have that privilege. I'm at a disadvantage. We're at a disadvantage.
We're at a
We don't
disadvantage. That's
talk
right.
about it, but
Yeah.
it's the truth.
Yeah.
And we got to get rid of that. We have to if we want to
Yeah.
move to the next level. Because we got a lot of these young people, man. They looking, they watching, and they got these same concerns too that we have.
Yeah.
Why this guy can get away with that, but this guy, he can't? I'm like, what's up with that, Hooker? Yeah, I thought y'all was equal. No, man, we're not equal. We're not equal.
There is no equality here, and I've been a witness to that for a long, long time. That this union has joint council all the way to the top has favors, and the only thing that I've been able to do is to carve out a kind of a no man's land thing, a reservation, if you will, in which that's Chris's territory over there, and if you don't go over there, he won't come over into your territory, and we can all live in peace, But I have been a warrior for rank and file leadership. I've been a warrior for rank and file involvement and participation, and as chairman of the Teamsters National Black Caucus. I mean, the things that we have done. And again, these things don't happen just out in the woods by themselves. Mm-hmm. We had a major, when we were battling with overnight in Las Vegas, and we said to the international, to a brother that subsequently got banned, hey man, we need some buses to take these members over to the overnight terminal. And we rocked that overnight terminal for 2-3 days in a row, And then we went over to the Aladdin Hotel and rocked that joint right there in Las Vegas. So TNBC, Washington, D.C., we turned out a nursing home. The cops came. I mean, so we understood the role and the importance of Black leadership. We understand the role and importance of our rank and file participation. We were in San Jose, and James Kirby came one day and he says, hey man, there's a strike of these carpenters some little short distance from the hotel. I said, can we walk? He said, yeah, we can walk over. Let me tell you something. We walked with a drummer. You hear me? For 2 days. The contractor put them back to work after 2 days of watching 400 Black Teamsters rocking this goddamn joint, excuse my French, right? 2 days of doing that, he put them back to work. The carpenter said his own union never came and gave them any support, right? So a little piece to the story, and I mean, I don't want to say this because he's a bad guy, but this is sometimes how we make bad choices. So as we were doing this here event for the carpenters, Tom Keeger, who was then General Secretary of Treasury, they campaigning at the time, they were running around campaigning, drove past the picket sign. So it was coming up on a red light, and some people looked into the car and just happened to recognize Tom Keeger and tried to shout him down. They tried to gun it to beat the red light so they didn't have to stop. Red light caught them. Now, I understand you have some place to go. Don't get me wrong. I've had places to go, and time was essential. You could have stopped, rolled down the window, and says, "Yo, listen, keep up the good work. Unfortunately, I can't stop right now because I'm going someplace." You know what I'm saying? They held that up, jetted out. Well, the very next day, they came to the picket line, and it's actually in the magazine they wrote about our affair in San Jose. You would believe that it was their doing and not the doing of TNBC. They done took over the whole thing. Like they did everything. You understand what I'm saying? But this is the role that we as Black leaders have to play, because like I say, we have felt the whip firsthand. We have felt Jim Crow firsthand. We have felt sharecropping firsthand. We have felt discrimination and all of the negative, police brutality, mass incarceration, you name it. But all of this, and so this is where white workers got to understand something. All of this attack on Africans in America weakens their ability to live a better life, right? So instead of joining up with the forces that are trying to oppress you too, and I always tell this little story. They're on a plantation, 5 black carpenters, 5 free white carpenters. White carpenters are making $1 a day. African carpenters are making nothing at all. All of them equally skilled.
Right.
The 5 white carpenters go into the boss. He said, boss, it's been 5-10 years. We ain't got to raise the pay. You know, we need a little oomph on this money. And the boss says to them, you see them 5 black rascals over there? He goes, yeah. He said, well, they doing this for free. Why don't you get out of my office before I go and get 5 more of them to do this work and you be out of here? So just be thankful for the $1 you get, right? The 5 white carpenters leave that office, not mad with the owner of the plantation, but mad with the 5 Africans that had no control over their condition. This is how racism works to divide the working class. And we have to teach these white workers what solidarity means, what solidarity has brought to the working class when we have been capable and able to achieve that solidarity. We have done wonders.
But not just the white workers, the white leaders too. We got it. I mean, they got to see it as well. I mean, everybody got to see it. They have to.
Listen, once the white workers join up, they'll run them suckers out of town and make them have to stand up, because they don't have leaders. They have a lot of misleaders, because they take crap from white leadership that they would never take from you and me either. You understand what I'm saying?
Man,
so people got to understand what's going on. I call it like it is. You
check this out. Now check this out. I don't think I ever told you this one. So a few months back, this had to be before COVID. Well, not before COVID, but right when it was early starting. Right, I had one of my good brothers out in local 776. They were on strike, and so I went out there to support them. You know, now I don't know the etiquette of what to do. I'm just getting in office. And so I'm still, you know, I'm under the mindset of, hey, man, I'm still the rank and file. I'm going to go to the strike line. This is my brother. I've been knowing him for a few years. We done broke bread together. Our wives met each other, man. He's a good friend of mine. Now, he was on strike out in 776. So I pick up some water, pick up some soda. Me and my wife, we go out there to show our support. So we walking on the strike line. No hooping and hollering. You know, I didn't bring the fat cat out. No horns or nothing. It's just me by myself. We out there talking to my good friend. We out there. Boom. The business agent out there, they take a picture of me and, you know, the group, you know, and we post it up on Facebook. So I get back to the hall maybe a week later, I get a letter from the president of 776. Man, he is dogging me. I mean, he killing me, man. What you doing coming out here? You didn't let us know. Now, the one thing I do agree with, you know, I didn't call him again. I mean, it's the strike line. This is my friend here, man. I don't know. I got to call you and let you know I'm coming. But I get the point. He's a principal officer. I'm a principal officer. Still new to the game. I get that. That's the one part I do agree with. You know, you call the PO up and say, hey, man, I'm going to be in your area. Bam, boom. I got that part. But I'm thinking, this is my friend here. Man, I'm just showing up. So I get the letter. I mean, man, he landed to me. Man, you shouldn't have came. You could have destroyed the strike line. And I'm reading this. I said, man, what's going on here, man? I got to send it to you so you can read it. I said, man, what is happening, man? I'm thinking to myself, man, did I commit murder or something, man? Like, I didn't know. Because I thought that as a trade unionist, when you see a strike line, dude, you go up. Listen, I don't care if I see a rat. If I see a rat, I'm going. I don't care what the union is. That's right. I'm showing up. This is my friend. I know this guy. I go to him, drop off the water, man. We're just talking. No fanfare. And we know we ain't out there causing no noise, nothing. We're just out there showing support. I get the letter, man. He killing me, man. You shouldn't have came. You could have just did this. You have a like a record of just showing up to these things, just doing that. Man, he was killing me. So I said, man, I ain't gonna take this, man. Man, who this guy think he is? I'm a principal officer just like him. Who you think you are? But we don't look the same. But we'll get back that to another,
Right,
So
right.
I'm calling him up. I said, yo, man, what's up, man? I got your letter. Man, what's going on? You're gonna have to explain this to me, man, because I'm trying to, because it was like a 16-point thing of strike line etiquette. I'm like,
Wow.
strike, man. He was giving it to me.
I need to learn
So
that myself.
me too. So I'm calling him up. I said, yo, man, what's up, man? You know what's going on here? Oh man, I've been doing this for so long and blah 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 blah. I've been on this committee or I've been on that committee. I'm like, yo, man, I got a friend out there in your local. I've been knowing this brother for years. Good man. He on strike. I went out there supporting him. Now, the one thing I will apologize for not calling you, because again, man, I didn't know you had a call to go to strike. I didn't know,
Yeah.
So I said, listen, I apologize for that. But this other stuff here, man, you're gonna have to explain this to me. So then he starts talking about how many years he got in there. He's been on the joint council board, and he's this and he's that. I'm like, okay, man, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I need to know where did I violate something, because I just don't get it. He said, well, how would you feel if I showed up to your strike line unannounced? I said, man, I would love it.
I would love
I said,
it.
I
That's it.
appreciate it. I said, man, you showing solidarity with the members and against the company. Do you know what he said to me? He says, well, I guess you run your shop different than I run mine. I said, man, you got to be kidding me. But then I started thinking about all the stuff that's been happening over the last two months when it comes to race and this Teamsters Union, especially when it comes to brown and black people and minorities in leadership. Dude, it's a whole different set of rules. He spent so much time in that letter degrading me for coming to his strike line, and I thought that's what we were supposed to do. But again, we're not equal. They don't see us as equals.
That's right.
Man, who are you? It's that boy mentality. You still a boy. Man, I'm a principal officer just like you.
That's
man,
right.
Who you, man? But when I got that letter, I'm like, man, what is going on here? I'm
Yeah,
like,
because you
man, what's
actually appreciate anybody, stranger, blowing the horn, just driving
That's
by.
right.
I mean, why would you be offended that I came? If I came over there and started to say you running the strike wrong or something like that, that'd be a different thing. But if I just came over there and says, no justice, no peace.
That's it.
What do we want? Contract. When do we want it now?
Right.
If that offended you, man, something wrong there.
But that's the thing. That's the deeper issue that I'm seeing within this organization.
Right.
We don't mind you. We don't mind, guys that look like you and our female members, because they get discriminated against too. We don't mind you guys doing the back breaking work. We don't mind you driving the cars. We don't mind you stocking the shelves. We don't mind you out there 12, 14 hours a day. But leave this right here. Leave that to us. Leave that to us.
We the leaders.
Right. Leave that to us. And then when you try to come against that again, you become the enemy. How you gonna be the enemy and you fighting the company? How you gonna be the enemy and you doing all these great things to try to push the labor movement forward? How can you be the enemy to that? But again, it goes back to one of my previous conversations when I had during the convention. I asked that brother, I said, yo, if we can't change it now, when are we going to change it?
When?
Because this is bigger than just the contract. It's bigger than just organizing. It's bigger than its pensions. We got to renew our minds as Teamsters. We got to. That bully boy, segregationist, bigotry, this is my ball, all this, that stuff is done.
Deep down, some of them don't want us here.
They're trying to hold on to it because it keeps them in power.
Yeah. Deep down, some of them don't want us here. In 1903, if you ever look at the picture of that early Teamster convention in Niagara Falls, you see two black, obviously principal officers, sitting beside Cornelia Shea at that convention. They took a big group picture. Now, you don't get to be beside the general president if you just a Mickey Mouse dude. You know what I'm saying? So it tells you that these guys carried some form of leverage, right? And you know, the union has gone through a position where, so if you go back prior to the formation of these national unions, blacks are very integral in locals in New Orleans, Galveston, you know, Mobile, all throughout the country. And then we start to disappear, right? And then for years, you know, those blacks who came up in a manner in which they had to kowtow. And that's what we're talking about. There's a different mindset in the union, right? So you had some real leadership and you had a kowtow group. And surprisingly, some of the real strong black leaders in the union actually came from the South. You know, it's just, you know, you'd think they would be from New York or Detroit or whatever. They actually came from the South, where they really developed meaningful, because the leadership down there understood that these brothers had a hold on the rank and file members, because remember, they right to work states. So, you know, these white guys believe believe that government gonna take care of them and the company gonna take care of them. The brothers understood that the government has never been a part of my life, and that the company ain't never done nothing for me. And if it wasn't for the union, because if you really think about it, CORE, NAACP, Church, Supreme Court, Congress have never brought equal pay to the workplace for women, for people of color, for minorities. You understand the point I'm saying? All of this came through the union. So blacks understood what the union does for their life. Now, these white leaders want us to pay dues, but they don't want us to be a part of the decision-making process, right?
There you go. Right.
So now we have to look at it. So when we're looking at the formations of who wants to lead, you have to also look at who best represents what this union looks like. And one of them have significantly more women, significantly more blacks on those slates. And that is an important process in our moving forward, because if we have a greater voice in that unit, in that formation of leadership, then presumptively that will translate into us being able to, hey, listen, I got a good organizer that could work at the international. I got a good international guy that could do some work for you at that level, rather than this just being the playground of the white and lovely. You know what I'm saying? My guy is white. He's the vice president. He gives me another check. Because if you really look at the formations, the blacks who have become vice presidents and what have you, don't have nobody working for that international too tough, not compared to their white counterparts. You understand what I'm saying? And some of them have gone down there and remained silent to the voter suppression, silent to mass incarceration, silent to police brutality, silent to what's happening in Cuba, silent to what's happening in Haiti, silent to what's happening in Syria, silent to what's happening in Libya, because all of these things affect the working class. You understand the point I'm saying? You know, we do business with China. I don't want to say they're eating our lunch, but certainly they got breakfast down tight and look like lunch is gone. We barely holding on to dinner, right?
Right.
So how do you have this close relationship with China, but you have an embargo against Cuba? You got an embargo against Venezuela. They ain't eating no lunch here. They ain't eating no dinner here. They ain't doing nothing to you here. China is. China is taking over and building bases in the middle of the ocean by the China Sea that they're talking about crying. China now has, look at the infrastructure development in the so-called third world. There are more than 1 million Chinese in China. Go to Jamaica and see what China is doing in Jamaica. Go into different parts of the world. They're building ports. They have a thing called Belt and Road, which is the reemergence of what was known historically as the old Silk Road. in which China now exports through the most latest transportation developments in ports and rail and trucking and highways, right? Moving goods and product. This is not being done by America. This is not being done by England. This is being done by China. We don't even have some tracks in America where a train can run at 120 miles for no longer than 10 miles before it got to slow back down. Yet instead, if you go to China, they run at 150 miles an hour. You can't even see where you're going, right? We need help. So when they talk about an infrastructure bill, any politician that is holding up the infrastructure bill sets America behind the rest of the world, because you need infrastructure to move your goods and products to the port to be exported and raw material to be imported, right? And the more efficiently you could do that is the bigger player you are. China already got 5G locked down. We have actually had to go to Germany and England and these countries and say, don't use 5G, don't use 5G, wait till I get mine ready. Because China is already ready. So when you don't want to spend $3 trillion on infrastructure, that means you want to see America become a junior partner to the new Don, China. So China now becomes Don Corleone, and you become Barzini, or one of them other guys that was at
Barzini, huh?
Yeah.
Barzini.
I got to be knocked off one day, right?
Yeah.
So so I'm telling the people, I actually had a little Facebook conversation with a brother down in New Orleans called Jerry Tolbert, who was an officer and business agent local 270, which is a storied black-led local back in the 1905 and so forth, when AFL was in its infancy. It actually did some serious work. And so, we were talking about, infrastructure and some different things. And I said, Jerry, we have to believe, and I believe that America has greater days in front of it. But those days cannot come if we're going to be dealing with voter suppression, if we're going to depress the wages of workers, if we can't see $15 an hour, if we can't have universal health care, if we can just kick people out of their houses. How do you bail out a bank that had this mortgage crisis back in 2008? So you bail out the bank, but the guy that's holding the mortgage, the homeowner, he don't get no bailout. So the bank get all of its money back, and I still owe. Now, what would the economy look like if I bailed out the bank and then turned to the homeowner who was caught up in the riprap of what the bank was carrying on with and says, yo, you got the title to your house paid off because I done gave the bank its money. That guy could now go out and buy a second house. He could go out and boot. You understand what I'm saying? It would have been a boom to the economy, right? But they intend to oppress the working class. And until we get this racial division out of our head, we will be forever subject to China moving ahead further and further and further, while we're sitting here trying to figure out who is black and who is white. And, oh, immigrants is taking my job. Let me tell you something. If they stop picking lettuce, if they stop picking turnips, if they stop picking grapes, you're done, because you ain't going to do that work. Okay? This country is built on immigrants. The Italian immigrants that were here before, Chinese immigrants that built the railroad, Irish immigrants. The history of what immigrants have contributed to this country, man, there shouldn't even be nothing at the border. They should say, man, just bring your ass in, because as soon as y'all become Americans, you get lazy and slim in hell. And we need fresh blood to do the work that needs to be done. They fought in wars. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we need to, and the union needs to drive racism out of its own body.
Yeah.
And then start to drive it out of the society. And only the union has clean enough hands to make that happen. I ain't saying the hands are completely clean, but clean enough.
Right. I agree with that. I agree. The union, our laborers, our labor leaders, we do have to get involved in it, especially when it comes to race and division and all that. That's why this election is so important.
Yeah.
God, it is.
Yeah.
So it's something you said in your last comment that I wanted to touch on. It's about, both campaigns. Now, we can't just sit here and just say, bloke, vote for a black man just because he's black, or vote for a woman just because she's a woman. You do have to be qualified, and you do have to know what you're doing. I don't want no people just to say, "Oh man, they're just talking about black just to
Oh
just
no!
because
Oh
it
Lord!
sounds good."
Let me clarify myself.
Yeah, yeah,
Listen, dingbat is a dingbat. I don't care what color they are.
right,
So any slate that believes that it has some black dingbats on their slate need to check themselves. So we're talking about qualified people that have track records, women that have track records, women that
right.
could come out and put a resume down on the table that'll make you proud. That's what I'm talking about. So
Right.
anybody that's just which to be to some extent, and I'll tell you that we have been used and abused here. Whenever we have had good black leadership, the union at the international level drums them out. We had a guy named Henry Perry down there in Memphis as the principal officer, local 667. And when
You
all
know what? I gotta tell you something about that. It's funny you said that name. I was talking to a guy from Texas, and he told me to ask you about Henry Perry.
yeah,
And lo and behold, you bringing him up. Okay, cool.
oh yeah, so Henry Perry had, they had a few spots that had organized overnight. When all the other overnight locations had decertified the union, Henry Perry still held his location. Henry Perry was a top-notch, good, solid trade unionist. They wanted him gone because they can't deal with that kind of leadership that's going to stand up, ask questions, and want to be counted, right? And so this has been a dilemma, right? There's a brother down in Local 270 right now, right? Who I bet you if you ask him, Brother Sorrell, Brother Sorrell been around, they tried to abuse that brother in Local 270. You understand what I'm saying? You had a guy, well, he's retired now, at Local 639, Tommy Ratliff. They made Tommy Ratliff run his election about 3 times because they did not want Tommy to win and run that local union in Washington, D.C. So we have a union that has shown itself, right?
Man.
Shown itself to have some issues with us as people of color in this union, right? So we have seen this. I mean, they don't assault me. I mean, they came at me a couple of times. Some people put some money up with these guys that got defeated. And I guess somebody said, well, this ain't making no sense. Spend this money trying to kill this Negro right here. You understand the point I'm saying? We just might as well let that one cockroach live. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But this union has a history of not being fully supportive of black leadership, not being fully supportive of women, particularly if those women or men are not on their knees or bowing down, kissing the pinky ring, or going along to get along. And so I don't have a history of going along. They said, Chris, how come you never been here? But I said, I'm not surprised because I don't go along to get along. I don't go along to get along with me, much less them. You understand the point I'm saying? So, I'm about the business. I'm about trying to move the working class forward. I'm about trying to get things, I
That's
just
it.
wanted to,
That's it.
this is going to come out reversed, but I keep holding this book up and I can't turn it around because it don't work that way because we are this Facebook thing. But it's called Mobilizing in Our Own Name, right? The Million Worker March Movement. And this is, you can read this book, you'll see what Teamsters National Black Caucus, what the power of that organization can be, and if you still have not reached its true potential, you can see where black trade unionists, Clarence Thomas out in California, and He's gonna be mad at me for not remembering his name, but I'll tell you in a millisecond. But it's important that I get his name. Trent. Uh, Trent. Oh God. What's Trent last name? But Trent. Uh, Sorry, Trent. I apologize. He's now the principal officer of Local 10, the ILWU in California, uh, and and what Black leadership was capable of. Saladin, Black Workers for Justice, and UE 150. You know what I'm saying? Donna DeWitt, who was the head of the South Carolina Central Labor Council. You know, we had so many Black leadership uh, in the building of this Million Worker March right here, that it's we as Blacks, all trade unionists should really read this book, because to kind of just whiffle off a little bit, Trumka has just passed away, and I hope that the AFL-CIO takes the opportunity now to name Sarah
Nelson. Oh yeah.
Sarah
Sarah
Nelson
Nelson.
to be the
I
next
agree. I agree.
leader
Yes,
of the
Lord. I agree with that one.
AFL-CIO. We need to have
Yep.
this sister in place. It needs to happen. She is, because we need to start the process of building a general strike. And I don't,
I was just about to say that. Did you read her thing about the general strike and what it would do and everything? Man, I read that thing. I said, man, I somehow, some way, she has to be at the top of that organization.
She has to be at the top of this leadership. She has to become the new face. She's a woman. She's bold. She is able and capable, right? Because she has done some stuff for her workers, the flight attendants, through this pandemic and protecting their interests. You understand the point I'm saying? So we have got to, and I actually make the call, because we have got to be prepared to enter into a general strike. It's not something you just pling, 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 and you're going to strike. You have to have some preparation, some groundwork that need to be done. And I think Sarah is the right person in the right time. I think this is now the time that women have arrived. Not that they weren't here before. I mean, they certainly have laid down serious bricks in the building of movements, but this is her time. And I actually call on the AFL-CIO to support Sarah Lawrence. I call for the Teamsters to re-enter the AFL-CIO and stop being like some of our dopey members that don't want to pay no dues and what have you like that. You got to go in, you got to pay your per capita, and you got to be a part, because unity is the only way that we are going to advance the cause of the working class in this country, both organized and unorganized, because all of us are losing. These, owner-operator truckers, they're getting beat down. These port truckers, they're getting beat down. They think they're in business. They're not in business. They're being used by business, but they ain't got no business. They got bills, right? But this is important. If we are going to turn this place around, his name is Trent Willis. Trent Willis is the president of ILWU Local 10, Clarence Thomas. We have another brother, Keith Shanklin, who was a part of the clerical union of the ILWU. They have a clerical division. Gabriel Prawl up in Seattle. You know what I'm saying? We had so much leadership. Kenny Raleigh, which is the ILA 1422 out of South Carolina. We had so much Black leadership in this here Million Worker March. You understand the point I'm saying? And that I dare to say that the Million Worker March was a catalyst for, not necessarily directly, but once you set in motion airflow, you know what I'm saying, it starts to move things. And for Occupy Wall Street and what have you like that, which Occupy Wall Street really showed you how the young white college educated kid had realized that he ain't got no future in this capitalist system. You understand what I'm saying? Because we flying for 10 minutes in outer space. You understand what I'm saying? So instead of providing them, so you went to college, got your degree, and you got a $15 an hour job. That is not America. You understand the point I'm saying? And the only thing that can change this America is our unions, Teamsters, SEIU, mine workers, so forth and so on like that.
So, do you remember watching this this video? Because especially for our younger members, this video has been getting a lot of traction as of late. The video, the acceptance speeches of the Oz Slate and Power Slate. Do you remember those videos?
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on, but everybody's talking about it behind closed doors because, you know, social media, man, it's brutal. I got a call from a very, very high-ranking individual in the Teamsters. Everybody loves this person. This person is not running for office. And they called me, and we were talking about it. And they were like, did you see the video? And I said, yeah, I saw it. I mean, what's going on? There is a big, big, big difference in both campaigns, and you can see it. It's crazy. And I was shocked that I got that call from this person talking about this video. I'm thinking for sure this person is going to support O'Brien. I mean, there's just no way. No, I'm saying like, and it was breaking it down. This is why the members don't get involved. This is why we stuck in this stagnant, you know, systemic, cultural, social problem within the Teamsters, and we're not going to be able to move because of what you just saw.
That's right.
So I say, so I'm looking at it. I said, and I'm looking at it. I said, oh my God. Nothing against anybody in the video, but you can tell where we are at right now and where we may be still going if, you know, these guys win. You know who, you know. And so I'm saying this can't be. And so we're talking about right. So now the younger people are starting getting involved and engaged in these videos. And so I would like to ask everybody on here, and everybody's gonna watch it later. Take your emotions out. We're not, you know, we understand if who you're gonna vote for, you're gonna vote for. We get that. But just watch both videos and you're gonna see it. Again, take politics out. Take emotions out of it, please. Because you're gonna be blinded by emotions. You're gonna be blinded by politics. But take it out. Because what I started to do is this: people who don't even know about unions, if you show them that video, 100% of the time, 100% of the time, they're gonna see it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh shoot! So especially for the organizing aspect, for the non-union influence that we're trying to engage in and getting, you know, and growing the locals and growing the unions. If you show them that video, I'm telling you, it's going to open up your eyes. It's going to open up your ears. It's going to open up. You're going to be like, is this what we want? And again, this is not a shot at anybody. We're not taking a stab at anybody. This is just, you know, just two concerned people. But it's more than that, because again, people are talking about this video, and I'm shocked at the person who called me talking about.
I got those calls too, and in fact, I was shocked that so many people saw it, right? Yes. And so just to be clear, this is the video of the acceptance speeches that were given at the convention. But let me just say this. And because you hit upon this, and this is an important point. People got to become emotionally detached from slatism and from this side or that side, and start to think about what is the best interest of the union. And I think that those acceptance speeches make and lay very clearly what the vision of one side is versus the opposite side. I ain't gonna tell you what I feel. We invite you to go back. I think it's still available online.
Yeah.
I invite individual Teamster rank and file members to go and look at those acceptance speeches and see for yourself what it is that hopefully you're going to see and recognize on your own that we don't have to tell you about. Because this
Right.
election, just like the last one nationally, these elections through this period of time are crucial to whether or not you're going to resolve the problems in UPS, in freight, in car haul, on the railroads, in these white paper contracts, whether or not we're going to be able to improve Social Security, whether we're going to be able to have universal health care, whether we can have better schools for our kids, whether we can one day take a stupid mask off. I'm sick of these masks, right? We are going to have to do things, and this union is going to have to take some positions that are going to rattle, whether
Yeah.
or not you're going to
Yeah.
be reelected or not. But if you get
Mm-hmm.
voted out for all the right reasons, it was worth it. You understand the point I'm saying? It was
Right.
worth it. So we invite you to, I don't know, it's probably on YouTube. I don't know if the election office
Yeah, it
still
is.
has it on his site,
But
and
even
go back and look.
but even and I would challenge people to just show it to non-union people, people who just the avid, just work in person.
Right, right.
Just show it to them, and they'll see it too. Because I'm
Yeah.
telling you something. We had a group of people come to our hall called Yeah Philly, a bunch of young people between 17 and 25. And I'm gonna tell you something. Because this is where our working class is going to be. This is where it's going to come from in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And they see it. They don't know anything about 22-4s. They don't know anything about CDL. They don't know nothing about team care, 4-year progression. They don't know nothing about car haul freight. They don't know anything. And you don't, like Dr. Cooper says in one of our shows, this is a 5-minute type of conversation. They're not going to read a paper about all your accomplishments, all the things that you did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You got 5 minutes to sell this union to them, and if you show them these acceptance speeches, I'm telling you, watch it for yourself. Watch it,
Yeah.
and it's mind blowing, and it's eye opening, and you will see, you will see it. You will see
Yeah.
it.
It's the sad part is because, I tell people, if you expect for me to explain certain things within 5 minutes, we ain't going far in life. And the youth have got to realize that, yes, you grew up with instant coffee, and yes, you could turn on the TV, and before you hit the button on the remote, the TV is already on. Before you could sit down, the TV is on. We used to have to get up and go turn the TV on, and we even sat down before we even actually had a picture on the screen because the TV had to warm up, right? And but there are things that are important enough for you to take the time to research, to look into. Fortunately, because of technology, you can do that research faster. But 5 minutes is not enough time for you to understand those things that are going to affect your life, whether you're in the union or not. But the union paves the way. If the union wins, the working class wins. If the union loses, the working class loses. And this is what we have got to be very clear. The union, the organization, that means all of our collective strengths and energy. We are the vanguard. We are the military wing of the working class. When we win, they win. And we have to start to connect those dots in order for them to connect with our struggle, and therefore recognize that it's not our struggle as just organized labor, it is our struggle as the working class.
Absolutely, I agree. So we got about 5 minutes left, but I'm gonna ask this question again that I started off the show with because we got more people on here, and goes out to all my UPS workers. I asked this question from the very beginning. I'm gonna give you the context and for why I'm asking this question. 2018 and 2013 to me are the same exact year. 2013, big concession. 2018, big concession. 2013, forced contracts. 2018, forced contracts, right? But the architects of both years are different. My question is to those workers, UPS workers. Let's just say that we flip-flop those years and the things that happened. 22-4, let's say they happened in 2013. Team care, 4-year progression, forced 18 supplements, split raises, 4-year progression. Let's say that happens in 2018. How does this election, how does these campaigns react? It's going to be the same? Are we still talking about the same thing? Are we promoting one and discrediting the other? Because to me, again, they both are the same exact thing. You can't separate the two contract years. I know people want to glaze over 2013, and I get it. Politics, hypocrisy, I get all that. But to me, this is just me. They're the same year. They are the same, because the same exact thing happened. The same exact things happen.
That Groundhog
Different
Day.
architect. Right. And so my question is to the UPS workers, because again, we get played as pawns in elections. Think about what I just said. Think about this campaign and these elections. Will we still be talking about the same stuff? Will we still be promoting the same candidates? Think about that. This is serious. This is why I hate politics, man, because one day, we're saying this and the next day we're saying that, but man, the members are still suffering. People still losing money. We're still working all crazy hours, but we want to blame this guy. Listen, they're all the same here to me. So Chris, what you got for closing remarks?
My closing remarks this evening was, well, good to see you. I kind of watched you on vacation. You had a good time. Thank you. That's very important. Glad to know that your lovely wife is doing well. But let me just say this. The most important thing that can happen is for our members to think, to do some research, to educate themselves as to what is happening. Don't listen to your business agent. Don't listen to your principal officer. Listen, I'm going to be out there pushing for something, and all other principal officers are going to be pushing for something. But don't just take my word for it. Do some research. Do some looking into. If I tell you something, ask me what's my source, so you can go see in that source if it meets up with what your criteria are. But most importantly, and because this is also a message to the companies that we are going to vote. So forget O'Brien or Verma, whomever, when they see 60% of the membership voting, 70% of the membership voting, they're going to know that this is a different member that they're going to confront in the next round of bargaining in your shop. So that voter turnout is going to be very, very important regardless of who wins this election. But after the vote is not the end. The vote is the beginning of your engagement with your future. Let me tell you something. You're international vice president. You're in that family plan. When you retire, as my dear friend Lou Richard would say, he needs a wheelbarrow to take his money out of the building. These guys today need a goddamn tractor trailer to get their money out of the building. So these are lucrative positions. They will have theirs. They're not suffering like you're going to suffer. So your engagement is very important. And after you have cast your ballot, your continued engagement and involvement is going to secure for you a future that you can be proud of. Because behind you, and let's come back to this, some of the things you're talking about, our brother Richard, is that they vote these contracts and they talk about, oh, well, that's not going to affect you. That's going to affect the guy behind you. Oh, he ain't here yet. It affects you. You understand what I'm saying? The contract needs to get stronger and stronger, not weaker and weaker. You understand what I'm saying? So you're having this disconnect between those that are here now and those that are yet to come, because we didn't look out for their interests. So when they walk into the job situation, they're looking at you like you the enemy too, because you voted for that. You voted to give me a lesser situation. And I've been trying to preach this through and through within my own. So when you hear me talking, I ain't talking about some other local. I am including local 808 in all of my criticisms, that I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying, we have issues in this union, and that
Yes.
includes local 808. So I don't want you to think that I got some goody ship running along. My ship is just as beat up and battered as every other ship in this Navy
Yep.
right here. You understand the
Yep.
point I'm
Yep.
saying? But we got work to do, and I have got to, and I always tell you, I suck energy from guys like Richard and Chris Williamson and what have you. So I've started to redouble my efforts to start to talk to my rank and file, because I've seen the devastation of QAnon. I've seen the devastation of Trump within segments of my membership. And I have to bring them back to having faith and trust in the union and the position that the union has, because that is what is going to deliver them if they're going to have the futures that they want to have.
I agree with that, all of it, and especially the voter turnout part. I was talking with one of my members the other day, and I've told my members my position and our position on this election. You know, I told them, hey man, you know, this is where I'm standing on this with this election. So I told one of them the other day, I said, listen, I would rather have 1 million people vote and not vote for the candidate of my choice than to have 200,000 people vote and then the candidate that I want wins.
That's right. That is
That's
absolutely
just the
true.
way I feel about it.
That is,
you know, I'm gonna say that again. I would rather have 1 million people vote and my candidate lose than to have my candidate win and then only have 200,000 people vote, because we have no power, because the power is in the people, not in their position. It's not there. And so, and I want everybody to think that, listen, you guys have the power. It doesn't belong to me or Chris or anybody running for office. It doesn't. It belongs to you. This is your union, but we have to act like it. We have to, like Keon said it better than I could ever say it. He said the vote represents what we will do if we don't get what we want.
That's right. That's right.
That's what the vote represents. The vote represents what we will do if we don't get what we want. If $1 million people vote, that means we coming to get what we want.
We coming to get what we want. That's right.
200,000 people vote, that means we don't care what we get, and we don't care if you give it to us or not. So we got to be mindful of that. We got to make sure we get the right people who's going to represent that. You know, I'm not going to come in here and tell you that you vote for this person, oh man, you ain't no good, and if you vote for that person, you ain't good. I'm not going to do that, because I understand the importance of having your own voice, having your own vote, you know. And plus, me and Chris, we can't do those kind of things anyway.
No, we ain't going to take that chance.
We can't do that. We can't do that. But, you know, listen, and I mean that wholeheartedly. I would rather have 1 million people vote and my candidate lose than to have 200,000 people vote and my candidate wins.
That's true.
That's just the way I feel.
That's true.
The power's in the people, and we're gonna be preaching that until I die. The power is in the people. Fred Hampton said it better than I could ever say. That's right. He said, "Where anywhere there's people, there's power."
That's right.
You know, and that's where I want to be. I want to be around the people. I don't want to be around these so-called leaders. I want to be around the people. That's why we go to the shops every day. That's why we do every day.
Could I just touch on one thing? Listening to us right now is the author of this book, Brother Clarence Thomas. Not the judge, but the real Clarence Thomas.
Right.
And this brother led the longest student strike in the history of this country at San Francisco State University. The former member of the Black Panther Party. This is a real, I don't want to call him a radical. Oh, well, they can't kick him out of the country, so I could call him a radical. He's a real radical in the purest sense of what it means in terms of developing rank and file unity. And I implore people to get educated and read this book, because I know if you read this book, you're going to vote. And it is important.
Well, we got to get that. We got to get that book out to everybody. Then.
Yeah.
Got to vote.
Mobilizing in our own name. Like I said, I posted up. Even Jim Hoffa is up in here because Jimmy gave us money to make our work come true. And we continue to say to all of our members, when that ballot comes to your house, after, because they're going to be mailed out on October the 4th. So here's what we're telling you to do right now, just some instruction. Go look at the acceptance speeches that were made at the convention by the different slates. 1. 2, edify yourself by doing some research into the background of these various candidates and people on their ticket. 3, when that ballot there's two debates that are coming up in September. One is going to be at the women's One is going to be at the women's conference, and 2 more after that. And then on October 4th, they're going to mail ballots to your home. Please don't throw it on top of the refrigerator. Don't put it with the rest of your bills, because your ability to pay your bills in the future is going to be determined. Is going to be determined by how you vote in this election, because we are at an inflection point. Okay, so you need to make sure that you get out here and vote. Now, I'm going to post up on my Facebook page the contact information on buying this book. It is, I think it's one of the most critical pieces written by, and usually one of the things with these books is they're written 50 years after the thing took place. And this book is written by the players, the people that were there underground doing it. This ain't some other guy's theory of what happened. This is what happened, written by and for the people. So get out here, buy this book. It's called Mobilizing in Our Own Name, Million Worker March, and the real Clarence Thomas, not that dingbat judge. I ain't even sure he really a judge, but just a body on the court, you know. So this is the real Clarence Thomas. So get out there, buy this book, edify yourself, because an educated worker cannot be led around. An educated worker is a leader in and of themselves, and that's important.
Right, that's right. So mobilizing in our own name, and listen, not mobilizing in the politics, not mobilizing in the power slate, not mobilizing of the our slate, mobilizing in our name. We're the Teamsters.
That's right.
All right. We're the Teamsters. That's what we need to mobilize. The Teamsters, not any political faction or campaign, but mobilizing the Teamsters. Also, piggyback off what you said about voting. Listen, September the 1st, the first debate is going to be in D.C. I believe it's going to be like 6 or 7 o'clock. All right. I'm pretty sure they're going to stream it. I'm pretty sure they're going to do somewhere where you can watch it on all these different things like that. Also, the women's conference in Las Vegas. There's going to be another debate between the 2 GP candidates, Mr. O'Brien and Mr. Verma. They're going to be debating again. And then I think the third and final one is going to be, for the first time ever, the General Secretary Treasurers are going to have a debate between Fred and Ron.
Ron Herrera.
So, so it's going to be right. So all 3, please make sure you tune in, stream it, watch it, write the notes down. And I like what you said about that, man. Get a notepad, write down what each one of them saying, and make sure you can fact check it with what they've been doing.
That's right. Exactly.
Don't just take their word. Go back and check the record. Go back and check the record. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people say this, that, and the other, but what does their record say? One of the biggest problems I've always had throughout this campaign season, especially when it comes to organizing Amazon, they always blame Hoffa for not organizing. But there's something you said. If you go back and check the record, dude, you on the GEB too. You helped Hoffa get in office. So you just as responsible for Hoffa. Whatever Hoffa did, you are just as responsible. It's just like if you robbed the bank, Chris, but I drive the getaway car. We both going to jail.
Right. Both going to jail for bank
we
robbery.
both ain't right for bank robbery.
Yeah.
You know, and it always bothered me. Hoffa, and I get Hoffa. Yeah, I know, I get it. But you helped him do those things. You enabled him for all these years, and all of a sudden now Hoffa's the bad guy. No, you like you said earlier, you got a whole lot of blood on your hands, a whole lot
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
And so, and
But let me just
I just
let
don't.
me just touch on this Amazon piece. Amazon is a $1 trillion company. Anybody that
Hmm.
thinks you're going to just run up on Amazon and organize them, like, you could forget about it. This is going to be a global organizing campaign. And let me
Yes,
underline the word global. This ain't just going
yes.
to be in New York or San Francisco or Alabama or Mississippi. This is going to be a global thing because it's going to take the entire global workforce to bring Jeff Bezos to his knees. So this is going to be, you can't be walking around maligning the union and wondering why nobody wants to join the union. This is something where you're going to have to take positive steps to move this process forward. And this is going to take years. It ain't going to happen in 6 weeks. So when
Mm-mm.
so anybody that's
Mm-mm.
giving you these roses and wine and cheese movies, it ain't happening like that. This is a grunge thing. This is going to be infantry stuff. This is going to be mud and blood. This is going to be a war. So don't think that when you walking around as a UPS guy and you see a Amazon worker, because let me tell you something, those guys in those blue vans don't work for Amazon. Don't work for Amazon. So you got to organize this other company, right? It's only the people in the warehouses, by and large, that work for Amazon. So there are
Right, right.
facets to this thing that going to take study time. It's going to take piece by piece organizing, and the Teamsters are putting those pieces into place as we
Hmm.
speak. So we're quick to put down the union. Let me tell you something. We wouldn't have the things we have if it wasn't for this
Right.
union right here. And I'm
That's
going to tell
true.
you
That's
something
true.
else. This Teamsters Union is one of the most democratic unions in this
Yes.
country. This is a bottoms up union. Now, we have allowed it to be flipped upside down because rank and file sleeping. But
Right.
this
Right.
union was designed for you to have the power. If you abdicate the power, somebody gonna take the power. People don't just leave power on the
Hmm.
sidewalk, you know.
Mm-mm.
So you need to
You
get
gotta take it.
involved. You got to pick up your share, pick up your load, pick up your responsibility to this union. Stop cussing and maligning and carrying on and bring something positive to the table. And then you're going to see how far we can go when we start to see the beauty of our union and not just focusing on, the few little split ends in my hair. Focus on the rest of my hair. Don't worry about the split ends. You know what I'm saying? We could cut the split ends off. Or you can cut the split ends off. But we have here, and we can make it work. Rank and file members, get up, do the research, watch these videos, tune into these 3 debates that's going to come up. And after October the 4th, when those ballots hit your house, return them
Vote.
immediately.
Yes.
Vote, vote,
Immediately.
vote.
Vote. Vote. Vote. Vote. This is your union. Don't let nobody take it from you. I mean, listen, it's been in the hands of the wrong people for decades.
That's right.
Decades now. And we got an opportunity to change a whole lot of things.
That's right.
Not just contractually, but also systemically,
That's right.
socially, culturally. We got a way
Yeah.
we can do it. We just gotta vote for it. So, brother Chris, we gonna get out of here,
All
man.
right,
God
brother
bless
man.
you, man. We
To
love
you
you.
too, my
Thank you.
brother.
We gotta keep doing this, man, because oh, I gotta tell you this before I go. I had a member out in the West Coast. She told me to tell you that we need to take our black, you know what, out to Las Vegas for this women's conference.
Right.
So, and I know she watching now, and I know she gonna call me and probably tell me about myself. But yeah, she told we need to take ourselves over there to this conference, man. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I will see
We'll
what
see.
happens because with the COVID, with this variant blazing the way it is, I'm not
Yeah.
sure there even going to be a women's conference, number one.
Hmm.
Number two, what am I going to accomplish? See, you could just go to a thing because I believe that there's a limited amount of people that's going to be in the place where they are having the debate. I don't think that it's going to be just you just walk in. I think there's a
Okay.
limited amount of people that's going to be allowed into that venue, particularly because of social distancing and various
Yeah,
things of
yeah,
that
yeah.
nature. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's going to be a free for all. And, I'm not flying anywhere because you got too many people that's not vaccinated, don't want to wear their masks, want to break out fighting on these airplanes and what have you like that. And so I would have to drive to Las Vegas and drive back. And I'm not sure that I'm
Yeah.
going to.
That's a long ride,
That's
man.
a
That's a
long
long
ride.
ride. Yeah.
Let the sisters have their conference. They certainly don't need me to tell them what their needs are. I think that all too often, too many men get involved in something that these women are much more capable than we are to determine for themselves what it is they want to see happen within the union, right? So all of us bring our issues to a joint table, but women had their discussion, had 10
Hmm.
points. African Americans had their discussion, had 10 points. Irish had a discussion, had 10 points. Italians had a discussion, had 10 points. Italians and all of them. And we all come one day and bring all of them 10 points to the table. We all sit down, discuss all these various points, and figure out and prioritize which ones we're capable of accomplishing. And that's what we do. But I don't need to be out there. I'd rather be sending some sisters to that
Yeah.
conference rather than me actually going out there myself. Now, if there is something that I can accomplish, uh, then I would go. If there was something that I could contribute to that conference, then I would go. But just to ride to Vegas and back is not really appealing to me. I don't even like Vegas in the first place. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
The
So,
last time I was there, I didn't like it either. That's
yeah,
when it was
I'm not
the
a fan.
2016
Yeah,
foolishness, man. That
they
was,
want they
yeah,
want to
yeah.
yeah they want to tempt me, tell me we going to New Orleans. I might take a chance with the Delta variant in New
Right,
Orleans, but I'm
right,
not going to take that chance in Vegas. I'd rather take it in New
right.
Orleans and eat some good gumbo and whatnot.
Yeah, because they actually changed the way they're doing the UPS national panel this week. I got the email. I mean, they actually changed the way they're doing that because of this Delta variant. And I'm pretty sure when we have our regional panels, they're probably going to do the same thing.
Hmm.
And,
Hmm.
and also, people, listen, we can't tell you what to do and what everything, but listen, go get vaccinated,
Yeah.
wear your mask, please, man. People are dying from this thing. I lost my grandmother to COVID.
Mm. My
My
condolences.
wife, she has a lot of health issues, and I can't afford to bring that back home to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So listen, this is serious, man.
Yeah.
Listen, we
Yeah.
can't tell you what to do, but I would encourage everybody to go get
Yeah.
that vaccine and wear the mask.
Let me just say something about this here COVID-19. I'm 65 years old. In my 65 years, I've never seen the world shut down. The world, not Brooklyn, not the Bronx, the world. During World War II, the world never shut down. During World War One, the world never shut down. This thing is serious, right? Now, there's a Chinese vaccine, there's a Russian vaccine, Cuba has a vaccine, United States got a vaccine, Germany got a vaccine. There's numerous vaccines. So whoever you trust, go take that vaccine. But we're going to need a vaccine. I know I got some couple of left-wing people, but I'm not too sure what they think about sometimes. But I think that the data is irrefutable that this vaccine has certainly slowed the virus down. And if you see what's happening, this flare-up is beginning. So the fire is beginning in those places where the least of us are vaccinated. Sisters and
Yeah,
brothers, if we're going to go back to some form of new normal, it is going to require that 90% of us take the vaccine. 10% got health issues or religious issues, but it's going to take 80, 90% of us to be vaccinated if we're going to, I don't want to say end COVID-19, but certainly to tamp it down and control it.
yep, I agree. So, all right, Chris, we're gonna get out of here.
All right,
Appreciate
brother,
you.
man. No doubt, man.
We,
Enjoy
we
your
might
Sunday.
we might. Yep, yep. So next couple of weeks, man, we gotta do this again. I think we're gonna have to make this a day, not a daily thing, but maybe a bi-weekly
Yeah.
situation. Just you and I, we'll get on here and talk about some things, and hopefully we get our people to vote and turn out, and we could talk about these issues again because until I think we vote them out, they're gonna still be there,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
still gonna be
Yeah.
there.
No doubt.
All right.
All right.
So again, God bless. We love you, man. Tell your wife and family we say hello.
And likewise to you, brother, and to all of you that been watching this here program, go back into your barns and generate that vote. You have the
Yes,
power. We have the power. Power to the people, and to the people belong the power.
that's right. That's right. All right, good brother. Thanks. Now,
All right, brother, man. Stay well.
you
Peace.
too.
All right, now.
All right, good people. We're gonna get out of here. Thank you again for watching this. We went over time about 21 minutes, but it was a good show. Again, September the 1st is the first debate between Mr. O'Brien and Mr. Verma. The second debate will be at the women's conference between those two gentlemen. Then the final debate will be between Mr. Zuckerman and Mr. Ron Herrera. Listen, get your notepads out, take good notes, make sure you fact check, because this is for the soul of our union. It's not just about UPS or master freight agreements or just the white paper. You're talking about cultural, transformational, social, and economic changes that all of us have to be a part of. And the powers that be that's been in these offices for far too long, they still want these things to continue. Don't let them fool you. They still want these things to continue. The only way they are going to change is the members have to be responsible. We have to be engaged, and we have to be a participant in making those things a reality. All right, this is Facebook and social media stuff you see. It's never going to go anywhere. Companies are watching, they laughing. But the one thing that we got to remember is that in order for things to change, we have to be an ingredient of that change. We can no longer sit on the side of the road and sit on the sidelines and sit over here, sit over there, and then complain when the things that we can fix continue. All right. We'll see you again in a couple weeks. God bless. We love you. To all my 63 members, see you tomorrow. A lot of good things happening here at 623. We got a big rally coming up soon. If the company doesn't do the right thing, we'll talk about that later on. Again, we love you. We honor you guys, and thank you guys so much again for giving us this opportunity to lead you in this capacity. Hope you guys learned something today. There's a lot of good topics we talked about. Hope you guys can see where we're coming from and some of the things and the discussions that we are saying, because it's real life. It's real life, and we need to change the way the Teamsters are viewed in our direction and where we are going. All right. Again, God bless. We love you. See you in a couple weeks.